My relationship with God was not love at first sight. It was actually a prolonged story, probably one of the most toxic relationships if you had to compare it to a relationship. I actually did not acknowledge God. I've been a Muslim, Buddhist, I studied Judaism, and at one point I was agnostic, and even the more extreme side, I was an actual atheist. So, with that being said, this was not love at first sight. It was definitely like, man, I don't even know if this is real. Now, innately, I'm somebody who's more logical, somebody who understands and deals with numbers and proof versus belief and faith. And so you can imagine, but having that mindset, God is not at the forefront of that, understanding that I was putting myself at the forefront of a lot of things. And recently, I've determined that my idol is my own hustle. My idol is my belief in myself more than my belief in God. And I've been acknowledging that and I've been addressing that. But a lot of things in my childhood, it was embedded in me early to be a hustler, to be somebody who can make things happen. And when I lean into that, I do pretty much accomplish things, but it's not really me, it's God. And it took time for me to understand that God is working through me and I'm not just doing these things because I'm talented. Yeah, everybody's skilled, everybody has gifts, but they're amplified in the kingdom. They're amplified when they're being used for the kingdom, for God, for Jesus. And with that understanding, it makes me look at my own gifts way more humbly. And hopefully, you guys can get into that space with me as I move and I get further in my journey. But man, initially, I never really had a strong relationship with God. I didn't grow up in a strong religious household. It was really not even talked about. So, when you move into these different spaces and you start developing your own sense of reality in the world, you start to think like, okay, this is real, this is not. And innately, I'm more of a logical person. I deal with numbers, I deal with proof. I don't really deal with faith and belief in something that I can't see, let alone touch, hear, nothing. It's just a figment of your imagination, is what I used to say. I used to think that God was comfort food for the weak and the uneducated. It's what I would literally say. So coming from that to where I'm at now, it's polar opposite. And a lot of that comes from hitting rock bottom. A lot of times when I would be incarcerated, when I would go to jail, that'll be the times where I'll find myself reading the Bible. It'll be the times where I find myself praying because you really have nothing else to hold on to. You're being stripped of everything. Now, in the free world, you can get stripped of everything and still feel like you have something. But when you're in those walls, it's not like that. You get stripped of everything and you just have nothing. So you cling on to something that you feel will give you hope. But a lot of times you got brothers in there proposing to that girl. They trying to get their life together. Saying they're going to get home and get a job. They trying to get their life together. Saying they found God. They're trying to get their life together. But 9 times out of 10, when you hit that free world, all that stuff goes out the window because you start attaining things, right? Which is another reason why I think God breaks us down to the bare minimum before he can start giving us grace and giving us our blessings, because we have to acknowledge that it's coming from him and it's not coming from us. Hustle is my idol. Being able to do things with these hands, being able to bring things to life with this mind, speaking things into existence. These are things that I used to really firmly believe in. Not so much these days. I'm really leaning into the faith. I'm really leaning into the intangible, the unknown. And I'm feeling so comfortable in this space. And it's because I actually feel the presence of God. Going to church and Bible study in these past couple of weeks, I actually felt the Holy Ghost for the first time. I actually wanted to talk in tongues, and I was like, "This is nuts!" Like it feels fake when you start to do this stuff at the when you start to really like experience this stuff for the first time. All this stuff feels fake, but it just shows that the love of God will triumph in the end. Like no, coming from an agnostic, coming from an atheist, Islamic belief system, I'm finding my way back to God, thinking that I could do everything and anything, to understanding that I really can't do nothing if it's not for Him. I'm finding my way towards God. Like no matter what we're doing in this world, if we're praising God, then we will get what we're trying to get to. If we're really putting him first, if we're really giving ourselves and our hearts and our minds and our spirits and our gifts to God, we will get so much further. You can't really listen to the outside noise. So when I say my love for God was not a love at first sight type of situation, understand I borderline hated God. I borderline hated people who believed in him because I always thought they was fake. I hated seeing people jump up and down in the church when I would go. I hated seeing people talking that strange tongue language because I'm like, what the heck is wrong with them? You know, when you're talking to somebody and they bring up God, I would get a feeling like, here we go again. Like, and it's so weird that you can transform from that into how I'm feeling today, which is glory. And I still struggle with it because I'm not I'm not so well versed and so well seasoned, and I'm spending a lot of my free time reading the Bible and studying the Bible and praying, that when I am in a conversation with somebody and they start bringing up God, it's almost like, man, here we go again. Like now I got to go back into this mode. Like I really wanted to kind of relax and be in the world, but constant reminders that God is always everywhere. Oh man. So if you struggle with believing in God and you're finding your way just like me, I just want to let you know that everything is going to be okay. You're doing perfectly fine. Nothing is wrong. You'll come around when you're supposed to come around. Everything happens in the right time, at the right time, and in divine timing. So you're exactly where you need to be. Whether you are just getting started in your journey or you're well on your way, we're all still got so much learning to do. So we're really further away from God and closer to each other. So let's just embrace each other, love each other, and understand that even if it's not love at first sight, you can still come back around and it could be the most beautiful love story. I'm Selvin Hicks. I'm a kingdom builder. Let's build this kingdom together.